Thank you, Greg. All right, let's get started here. Hey, everyone, I'm Phil, founder and CEO of Permanent Data Solutions. We're the team behind ArDrive and the ARIO network. This is my first time physically at Arweave Asia, so it's really cool to be here, meet a lot of new people. I just got to say kudos to all of those out there who are presenting where English is not your first language. It's hard to present, let alone speak in a language that's not native to you, so kudos to all you guys. And yeah, so today I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing and some of the things that are coming up next. So ARIO network, we call it a permanent cloud network. It's a network of decentralized services built on top of Arweave. Services like being able to discover data, read data, write, query it, index it, host domains, and many other things. And it's all built on top of the native compute layer we call AO and Arweave's permanent storage. The network itself actually does a lot of different things, whether it's managing traffic, routing to different gateways, identity services like friendly names, resolving those names, looking them up, indexing, querying. We're all familiar with GraphQL. There's a lot that goes into that, like unpacking that data, processing it, whether optimistically or not. A big portion of the network is responsible for content delivery or accessing the data on Arweave. And that's not just individual files, but it's sites and apps and rich information. Of course, it's all built on top of Arweave's permanent storage, right? We're laser focused on permanence. There's a reason why we call it a permanent cloud and not just a decentralized cloud. And yeah, from the perspective of being able to operate the gateway, ARIO nodes come with payments infrastructure, the ability to observe and report on other gateways, which folds into the overall protocols that reward gateways for their services. To just maybe dive into a few of the more popular features on the network, there's ARNS, the Arweave Name System. That's friendly names for data and identities on Arweave and AO. You could lease a name, you could permanently purchase it, you can resolve those names across any ARIO network gateway, like the name ArDrive. You can access it on ardrive.arweave.net, ardrive.permanentgate.io, ArDrive Gateway.io, and the hundreds of other gateways on the network. And that provides a level of resilience beyond any single top-level domain, any single domain out there. And it's something that's actually accessible. It's not like some name systems where you can't go to it in the browser. And names come with what we call undernames, so that's a configurable subdomain under it. We actually just released a new capability for undernames to now have ownership. So you could, for example, have your community, have your app, and give your users a name that's underneath yours. So for example, Stargrid Battle Tactics, you could have the name Stargrid, and then as your users are signing up, you could have David_Stargrid or Simone_Stargrid, and those users can now leverage that name as their identity as they go across different apps. And yeah, this is just an example of the main Arweave name system app. Easy for anyone to use. You could buy your names with ARIO tokens, or you can use a credit card, or Sol, or ETH. And again, we made it really easy for anyone to just pick up and use, as well as for anyone to build with it. We have the ARIO SDK that makes it super easy to create names, manage them, update them, and so on and so forth. The other big component of ARIO network is being able to upload data. Some of you might be familiar with Turbo. That's kind of like our hosted solution for uploading and paying for data. It supports data availability, that's meaning once you upload something, it's instantly accessible, so you can download it and use it. Nobody wants to wait for that information to get mined. You can top up and buy what we call Turbo credits. You can top up again, with a credit card or with various different cryptocurrencies, or just do just-in-time payments. Not everyone wants to top up the balance. Maybe they just want to upload a little bit at a time and pay for that. These credits, while they're not transferable, so to speak, we allow what's called credit sharing. So you can have a master account that shares credits with different users. You can revoke them or put like a time period on them, so at a certain point in time they could kind of get revoked. It supports not just uploading data, but purchasing domain names. Again, coming back to making it really easy to have the whole picture of just being able to upload your site and purchase a domain to access it out of. We have a flexible SDK we call it the Turbo SDK. However, we've seen it now get implemented in other SDKs as well. Like Load Network has now introduced the Turbo APIs there. I think Community Labs has an SDK. I think there's a version of AR Bundles that also has it as well. We didn't announce it yet, but we also have a new app called the Turbo app, which again exposes all of these things in a nice little user interface. Makes it really easy for a dev to go in, top up, upload their site, give it a name, all those kinds of things. One of the other important protocols on the network is what we call Wayfinder. This is a protocol used to route users to different gateways as well as verify that data. And this is really important, right? Because we keep talking about no more 404. And Arweave is this location-independent network where you can access any piece of data across different locations. It's not like the current internet today where you go to Google and your data just lives in Google's silo. So the Wayfinder protocol lets you go to any of the gateways and access that domain name or that transaction ID in a very resilient and performant way. We have all kinds of configurations for it. So it's really a very flexible tool meant for builders. We're seeing this get integrated in different apps now. I think Bazaar just put it in their app to make it really easy to go to different gateways and not rely on a single one like Arweave.net. I wanted to talk about some stats just to show some of the traction of the network. Almost 4,000 ARNS domain names, a little under 700 gateways. We have about 1,500 network monthly active users. These are users interacting with our AO process. Since the dawn of the network, around 400,000 total messages sent. I didn't include the upload stats. I think we all see those, on ViewBlock. I mean, at this point, there's over 20 billion transactions uploaded onto the network, terabytes upon terabytes of data. Most of that is going through ArDrive Turbo. And just a quick glimpse at our token supply. Since we launched, we had various lock periods for our investors, for the team. All of those are unlocking and proceeding according to plan. Looking at some deeper stats, we just started to track some new things because we really wanted to show the strength of the network. This is just in the last 7 days. We can see a few things here, right? We can see data requests by class, right? So what does that mean? That's, when you look for a transaction ID on the ARIO network, where is the ARIO network getting that from, right? Around 20 million of those are coming from other ARIO gateways, right? I think one of the most interesting ones, transaction chunks data source. So that's, a gateway doesn't have the data. It goes to Arweave to get it, right? Arweave is like the cold storage, and it's really important for gateways to be able to discover that. And sometimes when they discover that data, they actually have to take all these chunks, and reassemble them. So to me, this shows that the network is doing what we designed it to do. If ARIO doesn't have the information, it goes to Arweave to get it. In the top right, total data streamed. This is actually just in the last 24 hours. Almost 65 terabytes of data have been streamed out of ARIO. That's not a small amount. That's not a small amount for a single gateway. This is across the entire network. Data requests per second, right? Going between 2,000, spiking up to 3,000 requests per second across the entire network. And most of those are 100% success rate or 99.999. So showing that the network is really resilient in finding the data really quickly. Looking at some of the indexing stats, I also find this pretty interesting, and maybe to explain, transactions indexed, 526 million. Now, what does this mean? If we look at the cumulative indexing rate across every single gateway, you add that up, 526 million. Those are all mostly layer 1 transactions coming out of around 100,000 bundles that are processed weekly. Data items, or layer 2, around 76 million. That's primarily due to the verification that happens. As ARIO gateways are ingesting data, they will verify it. They'll ensure, is this the right information that was uploaded? Does the cryptographic hash match? And this is definitely an area where we want to go beyond just indexing data for verification purposes. So yeah, expect to see that number grow. And again, this is particularly interesting here, the transaction indexing rate. So looking across the whole network, it's around 700 items per second. So it shows that the network can handle the throughput that's coming through it, right? Looking at data items as well from the verification side, spikes to up to 500-600 operations per second. Again, it's across the whole network, but what we want to really start to explore is kind of sharding that indexing out and making it more useful, right? This is just indexing a lot of the same information, so more to come there in the future. Now, this is also really important for us. We wanted to make sure the economics of the network made sense. So maybe before I get into the numbers, how it basically works, to join the network, you have to stake some ARIO tokens. There's a delegated staking component too, but the real utility of the ARIO token is for purchasing ARNS names. So anytime you buy a name, it goes into the protocol balance, and that is then paid out to gateway operators over time. So if we look, since the network started, around $85,000 have been earned by the network. That's people spending real money on names. We don't have any big program out there to just artificially inflate these stats. Sure, we might give a free name out here and there, but these are real people spending real money. And we've distributed a little over double that to gateway operators. When we started the network, we tried to boost the emission rate. So every day or every epoch, 0.1% of our protocol balance goes out to gateway operators. After a year, that's going to go to 0.5%. Or 0.05%. So I see this as the system is almost self-sustaining. It's almost balanced. Like the money coming in is, if it goes to the 0.05%, is the same as the money going out. And this is just really early days. Obviously, we want many more names to be purchased and have this protocol balance grow and have the gateway operators receive even more money. One of the things that we've been focusing really hard with collaboration from the Arweave onboard team is really building our partnerships and alliances. This is just a few, iExec, privacy tooling. I think we're going to hear from them in a little bit. Several new partnerships in the NFT space. I think that's something that's always been a really good fit for Arweave. I know NFTs might not be the hottest thing nowadays, but more and more teams are recognizing that permanent storage is the only way to store your NFT data. So we're working with Drip House from Solana. Manifold finally just moved over to Turbo to increase the resiliency of their uploads. We've joined a few different alliances, which aren't necessarily about leveraging the network, more kind of broadening reach. So we're working with Fluence. We have a talk tomorrow with their community, and Aether, working with other DPIN teams as well. DRAD Network, has been leveraging ARIO for their flight tracking information. Load Network dealing with temporary storage, right? Something that's really needed because not everyone needs to keep their data permanently. Load Network is allowing teams to upload temporary storage, and then with the click of a button, it'll settle to Arweave through ARIO. And now even looking at Web 2 use cases, trying to onboard more useful data. We just started working with the Criminology Consortium to take all of their criminology journals and archive those. So yeah, really trying to grow via new partnerships, or X's as we call them. We started a grants program a few months ago. Shout out to some of the recent teams that we've given grants to. Forever Lovable, a platform that's looking at scraping websites and archiving them onto Arweave. ARNS Rewind by the Randau team is an app that looks at the history of any given RNS name. And I think that's really cool because it's exposing the fact that nothing disappears on Arweave. Any action you take on RNS, you can go back and see what happened and when. We're working on new indexing protocols with one of the core Arweave community developers, Kay, and an RNS marketplace, because any name that's purchased can be sold afterwards. So it's exciting to see that come together. And around $100,000 so far of ARIO and AR have been granted already. Shout out to Rlink. You guys are our first grant, so it's awesome to see how far you have come. And now maybe let's talk about what things are coming ahead. We have what's called the cloud map. Not exactly a roadmap per se. We really didn't want to give out, we're going to do this, this, and this by these dates, rather kind of a signal of our direction. And it covers different themes like developer empowerment or infrastructure, sustainable economics, dev tooling. One of the big things that's coming out hopefully later this year is this ARNS marketplace. We're looking to build that directly into the ARNS app. It supports different auction styles like Dutch auctions, English auctions, fixed price auctions. And what we're trying to explore is take any fees earned by this marketplace and put them back into the protocol. I don't know if that's going to be a burn or putting it into the protocol balance, but we're not trying to earn more money off of this. We're trying to enable ARNS name holders to speculate on names and take any of the fees earned with that and put it back into the protocol. So it'll be really interesting to see when this comes out. I know some people have been really looking forward to it. We have been seeing some people buying names for the purposes of speculation. So I think this is, going to be exciting once it's finally released. Another big thing that we started looking at is building better economics for gateways. And we're starting in the form of kind of peer-to-peer payments. We're looking at the X402 standard as one of the methods that we can implement. And that's going to be something that, sure, human beings can leverage, but we're really looking at agentic or even system-to-system payments because we figure, in this world where all this important data is being collected on Arweave, and more and more people are going to have agents or services going out to do different things, they're going to have to pay for this information. This is a protocol that's driven by Coinbase, so we also see this as a means of trying to branch out just from the Arweave ecosystem. It's interesting because they're also building a discovery layer. So for example, the entire ARIO network could end up in this discovery layer where agents can now find permanent data and access it from different gateways and pay those gateways for it. We're looking at adding this for not just data access, but for uploading data and maybe even unpacking and querying for it. We already have a proof of concept for the data access, and we'll see how that progresses. And it's starting with stablecoins, USDC specifically, which is again something that we don't fully support on Turbo yet. So it's going to give us some new functionality soon. The other big thing that we've been looking at for a while, and this doesn't necessarily speak to just T's, but really looking at ARIO gateway functionality and how that applies to HyperBEAM devices. I think the most exciting thing for me is, HyperBEAM devices running in a T, because as you guys might be familiar with, it's this secure enclave that is kind of like a black box, and you can really trust the execution of that code, that the right logic was run, the right data might have been fetched, and really no tampering occurred, right? So specifically, I don't think it's here, as Sam showed before, we've already explored putting the ARIO name resolvers in a HyperBEAM device. And now we're looking at taking the ARIO observer role functionality, which is used for kind of monitoring the network and reporting on different gateways, and putting that in a T as well. So that can give a high assurance that these observation reports that gateways are producing have not been tampered with. So exciting to see that come together. And then finally, one of the last things we're really trying to focus on is just getting more good data on Arweave. Data that is important beyond just the uploader, right? I think there's a lot of great permanent data already on there, but I think a lot of it is specific to an app or the person or team that might have uploaded it. So what we want to do is continue to secure the world's knowledge and put really good data sets on it, right? Whether that's data from social networks, we're exploring just simple bots that can scrape Twitter and take a post or a video and put that on Arweave, or working with archive, scientific journals, and get that also stored for long periods of time. The Criminology Consortium, the SEC Edgar database, which is Fortune 500 company information, right? And all of this is really used by AIs to train and get better. So we kind of figure more good information on Arweave, a better supply of that information, matches with our good supply of gateways or nodes that can kind of serve that data back, should then potentially increase the demand for it, right? This is important to me. I think this is why I, joined this ecosystem, right, to secure the world's knowledge. So we can't lose sight of, one of these original goals. And yeah, that's it. So definitely invite any new builder building an app. If you need an ARNS name, let us know. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.